Nick Dillon is in the house. It's so good to see you. It has been since when did we do our retreat in Milwaukee? That was only a couple months ago, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was August, maybe September, July, August.
July, August. Time is flying these days. It is just flying.
It,
So, for those of you who don't know, Nick Dillon and I, well, you wouldn't know. I'm going to tell you now, but Nick Dillon and I met about a year ago, almost a year ago in New York City, where he was a speaker, a guest of Jamar Jones and one of Jamar's experiences that happened to take place in New York City. And it was fun. We got to all be on the billboard in Times Square. And you led a workshop in mindset, and you did the same again in Milwaukee. And now you get to also come to Denver, Colorado, where now Jamar and I are co-hosting a retreat for entrepreneurs to talk about mindset. And so today we're going to talk with Nick Dillon about mindset in relation to public speaking. And for those of you who are new, this is the Speakers Lounge. I do this once a month, the first Monday of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And these are visionary insights to help you be a more confident and credible speaker, to get on more stages, to show up on more podcasts, and show up more human in networking spaces, and really build those relationships that you're meant to have. So, hello, Nick Dillon. Let's get into it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yes. So I would love for us to just start off and have a conversation about your journey with mindset, and then how that unfolded into you helping others also create a healthier mindset for themselves.
Yes, yes. So for me, mindset started, ooh, God, as a young lad, where while I didn't recognize it as mindset, it was definitely a deficit for me.
Mm,
So, facing some health challenges and bullying and things of that nature at school, for me, I didn't realize I had a voice, if you will, until well into my professional career. And so once I did my own inner work, because when you're going through this thing called life, and we don't realize all of the unconscious things
yeah.
that help to mold and shape our mindset that actually comes up even as we are adults. So, very intentionally, kind of getting into this work now, going on close to 20 plus years, but really just recognizing that in order to live the life that I really, truly, honestly want to live, I've got to be able to regulate and check some of those mindset things that may be challenging,
Yeah.
and really hone in on that. I call it inner coach, which is that positive self talk for myself. And I always refer to my inner critic as those things that don't serve me well, but they're coming up as challenges or even beliefs that might be, challenging going forward. So it's a daily regimen that you have to do as a professional, as an individual, as in any profession that you're in. And I chose to get into this not only as an educator, as a therapist, as a coach, as a speaker and trainer,
Mhm.
which all brings in mindset. So it's been a journey.
Yeah. So tell me, because I feel like what you're sharing here is incredibly important, but it's a muscle that one needs to build, right? So to have that internal, that self-awareness, to figure out like what voice is taking control over the other voice, it's a muscle. So can you share with me a little bit about how over time, or how would you, if I'm a newbie coming to you, just saying like, those inner voices are not doing me justice right now, right? Which takes a hefty amount of self-awareness to begin with, to even know that you need the work on it. What would you start doing with your client right now? If you
That's
could?
good.
Yeah.
Very good question. The big thing with this, especially with mindset, is you can't reshape, reframe, or even shift what you're not aware of.
Right.
Okay. So once you become aware of what that mindset is, or even rooted in that mindset is a belief. And oftentimes we have a set of beliefs that are working for us. and we have this set of beliefs that are working not so good for us. So,
Mhm.
as a professional working with a client, oftentimes you might have to remind the client of that belief and that mindset that comes up often for them. And in order for there to be a shift, obviously it's something that you got to feel and want differently for yourself.
Mhm.
You got to practice. So anything that I work with the client on and about shifting, you've got to practice the new shift. And you've got to lean sometimes into discomfort because we don't know what we don't know, but when we know, we always know.
Right, right.
No. And oftentimes, believe it or not, Meredith, is when you've had or dealt with self-defeating beliefs, and I'll use the big example for me that has been around in my life and still tries to creep its ugly head is not being good enough.
Right.
And when that belief has surfaced and been a part of your life for many years, and a coach or therapist says, I need you to shift that. Well, guess what? That's all I know. And that's been safe for me, even
Right.
though it's not working for me.
Mhm.
It's safe in that I'm used to it. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. And when I start feeling not good enough, I self select out. I take myself out of it. I move to a comfortable space mentally and emotionally. Even though it's not working for me, it's safe. But in the whole grand scheme of things, in order for me to do this work, oftentimes I have to lean into the discomfort of knowing, or even in some cases, believing that I'm not good enough, but I got to disrupt that narrative because that's simply the tape I've been playing in my head for so many years. And I need to get rid of that. So when that tape starts to come up now for me, my inner coach is so strong that I can dismiss it. Nope, we've been down this road. I've always tackled it. I've managed through it. And I've gotten to a better place with this. But the reason I'm able to say that is because, to your point earlier, I've built this mental muscle. And
Right.
this mental muscle is I've practiced reframing.
Mhm.
I've practiced even being uncomfortable and feeling that uncomfortableness and knowing that when I leaned into something that I really wanted, it actually did get me to a better space. It gave me different opportunities. It let me see a next version of myself that I hadn't realized. And
Mhm.
I have to capitalize on that as my inner coach in order to be successful, unpacking and dismantling beliefs that aren't serving for me. So on the recovery side and even the coaching side, I am constantly telling clients, hey, I know it's uncomfortable. I know it doesn't feel good, but are you okay staying in the space that you are? Or are you willing to have some courage, if you will, even in the space of discomfort, and knowing that as you manage through it, you'll see resiliency you didn't think you had?
Beautiful. So what I'm hearing there too is just you're it's about meeting the client with where they're at and building from there. And I'm curious, do you specifically have a story that you could share with us where this came up for you? Maybe recently, maybe it's something that first popped into your head when I asked the question, but do you have a story that you can share with us?
Yes, yes. I'll use a business example.
Okay.
So I had just started my business. This is many years ago. And I had planned to put together a new website, and I was putting together a nice training program. And I had saved the investment and was ready to launch in January.
Mhm.
And the vendors reached out and said, okay, yep, we're ready to go. We're ready to start on the website, and we're ready to start on the training program that you're going to put together. And instantly, my inner critic said, how are you going to do this?
Yeah.
You're going to be without financially. You're not good enough for this. So, believe it or not, I reached back out to the providers and the vendors and I said, I got some stuff going on right now, and I'm just going to let's circle back in about 30 days. And instantly after I done that, guess what? I went back to my safe place.
Yep.
Wasn't really what I wanted, but I went back to my level of comfort that I was used to.
Hmm.
And each month it came up for 3 months. Finally, after 90 days, I said, Nick, what are you doing? I had to turn the mirror back on me and say, this is not what we signed up for. You've got to lean into this discomfort and know that everything's going to be okay. And so I pulled the plug, but here was the most powerful part of this. I pulled the plug, moved forward, got the website launched, started on the training business. And I will tell you, within less than 30 days, the investment that it cost me to put this stuff together, I got a call for some clients and replaced that investment. So
Hmm.
it just taught me that when we lean into what we want, the universe will align and things will just align. I'm just one that believes if you move forward intentionally into what we want and we have our mindset shift in that area, our energy changes, we show up differently. And oftentimes people see that
Yeah.
and things start to align. And the next thing we know, hey, this person's calling, that person is calling, and opportunities become before us. So it's been a journey. And that was one of my large life lessons that said, hey, you got to lean into this in a great way, even though it's feeling comfortable. I tell people, I'm so far outside of my comfort zone now, I don't care anymore.
Oh, you start to just kind of swim in it, right? You're like, this
Absolutely.
is uncomfortable. And then you just keep saying yes to the next uncomfortable thing. Um,
Absolutely.
right. And it just to kind of become second nature in some ways. No, it's really beautiful. It's a coach a few years back had shared with me, and I've also heard it repeated in books that I've listened to as well, which is that it's also how you the words that you choose to use, right? So how much does something cost or versus what is the investment? And when you say use the words investment, it's an investment in yourself, which is different than, oh, this costs 3 grand. This costs 3 grand. That's like it's almost feels like a stop sign when you say it out loud. But then when you say, "Hey, I'm investing 3 grand in my growth," there's like a longevity to even the way that sounds when it comes out of your mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
reality is this: when you shift your mindset, because in order for you to reframe that, just like you described it,
Mhm.
you've got to shift how you see it.
Yeah.
And if you're shifting how you see it, because remember, language matters, and I'm really huge on what we say, how we say it matters, and it can be a huge determination of how your brain transcribes that and how you feel.
Right.
And so if I see it as, and oftentimes it's just got to be a level of awareness. So to your point, the second you tell someone who says, hey, even in some places where someone would say, I'd say, hey, my coaching program is X amount.
Right.
Oh, that's just way too much for my budget.
Mhm.
And then my next question is, I'm sorry, I may have misunderstood you because in our previous conversation, you said that where you were right now was not where you wanted to be in the future. And where you wanted to be in the future was no comparison to now in terms of your level of investment in you.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing is it does cost you to stay where you are.
A lot. It costs a lot to
Yeah.
stay where you are. And if you feel it, you better act on it. That's what I say. If you feel it, act on it. Okay, can we dig a little deeper here? Because I'm just
Yes,
out of
yes.
curiosity. Talk to me about, and I'm not sure if you've had people come across in your life that are like this, but I'm just curious. So I want to speak to the person who might have, epigenetics, like the trauma that has been passed down on a cellular level from one generation to the next generation. Maybe they're in marginalized communities. Maybe they're coming or trying to emerge from a place of poverty. Maybe there's how would you meet someone who desperately they don't want to live, and I wouldn't even call it victimhood, right? Because I feel like there's some of us who are in more privileged places that have choice, and then there's some people who just don't even know that the choice is an option, right? So I'm just curious if, like, what would you say to that person right now, assuming that we can even reach a person with the amount of choices that they have given? Because that's a
Yes.
curiosity that's been sitting with me a little bit lately.
Yes, yes. And that's a powerful one, Meredith, because oftentimes when we talk about trauma
Mhm.
and we talk about experiences, if you will, that have created a huge impact on our lives as individuals. And in our formative years, we don't realize the impact of what those might be, trauma as it may be, but how the lasting impact can affect us even in this day and age. And in addition to the experience that we may have had, what we also have to remember is that every single experience that you have that doesn't have to look like that trauma, it can feel like it.
Yeah.
And when it feels like it, sometimes it brings that trauma back.
Mhm.
And the challenge that most people face is that, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't know how to overcome it. I don't know how, this. And again, we go back to I'm used to it. It happened. I remember it. And I found a way in my own little way to protect myself from it not happening again, not realizing that oftentimes it hinders you from being the highest expression of yourself that you can.
Yeah.
And so what I often tell us is because I'm this big proponent of all roads lead back to us.
Mhm.
And sometimes we got to tap into our infinite wisdom, our infinite power, our infinite level of peace and understanding of us in order to move forward. And so, while even as a therapist and as a coach, we can guide you through by identifying things and even asking some amazing questions. The thing that I'm reminding clients to do is that oftentimes I'll say, hey, you've gotten here. And which tells me you've got an opportunity. And you already are seeing in yourself that you want to go even beyond here, but you've recognized that this past, this history, this trauma is holding you back.
Mhm.
So, somewhere in your present day self, I need you to go back and talk to that 10-year-old self. But I want you to use the language of your present day self that you've learned about life and yourself and who you became resilient to be.
Hmm.
Talk to your 10-year-old self in a way that encourages, that it supports, that empowers, that helps that 10-year-old self to heal. Because when we went through some level of trauma, the only person I'm trusting right now is me.
Right.
And if I can coach myself through that and bring me out of it, doesn't get rid of the experience, but what it does is it takes the power of the emotion and the mental bondage away that was holding you back so that you can talk to you in that process that allows you to move forward in a much amazing way. I did it to my own self as a practice for me. I talk to myself even as my age now to my 10-year-old self being bullied to remind myself that my current situation is low budget,
Beautiful. Thank
very low budget.
Low budget. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for that. I'm curious too. So, speaking of trauma, so helping people share their stories on stages, right? Oftentimes, uh, there's a few things that happen, right? Either people will say, I don't have any traumas to talk about, so therefore, what I have to say is not going to be interesting enough for an audience. Which I always say, it could be the smallest of stories. If it happened to you and it's a relatable experience, it is significant and it is interesting, and you don't need to have gone through a trauma to be a compelling speaker. And then the other piece of it is I have so much trauma uh, that I want to be able to share this message with people, but I'm afraid to do so. And in that, I always say, don't speak from an open wound. And I'm sure you've heard that before. Uh, Make sure that you've healed the process for two reasons. One, you don't want to re-traumatize yourself. And then the second piece is sometimes if you're still living with the trauma, then it's going to be really hard for your audience to hold. You're asking them to hold that space for you, which can be very uncomfortable. So, is there anything further that you would offer people who do have their story as a way to help change other lives who yet have not completely healed?
Yes, yes. I think you were spot on in just making sure that you're coming from a healed place to begin with.
Mhm.
I think that is powerful. And one of the things that I'm always amplifying in every single client is your lived experience is so, so powerful. Be it as it may, everyone's lived experience is completely different,
Mhm.
but there is power in your story. And anything that you can take from your story, especially the places and spaces in your story that you feel empowered to be able to share. For every, I think I heard this statistic, for every one story, and I'll use my example, for every one time I shared a story of surviving bullying, I changed upwards of 100 lives.
Mhm.
And so that's the magnitude this day and age of how sharing, you just made someone else no longer feel isolated, no longer feel alone, no longer feel like they were the only one that had to endure something. And it takes what you saw as maybe misery
Mhm.
and translates it into, in some cases, ministry,
Yeah.
or in some cases, work. A lot of the work that I've done over the past 20 some years is every bit to do with, I don't want anyone to live the experience that I did before. So there's so much power in that transcends, so that you're speaking to them from a place that says, hey, you don't have to be ashamed, but you got to be healed.
Yeah.
Because if you're not healed, then I can tell you right now, your mindset will already be speaking to you before you get on that stage.
Beautiful. And I'm going to backtrack just a slightly to something you just said. You don't need to be ashamed, and I feel like that's really important to highlight because I do feel that people live with a lot of shame based off of things that have happened to them in their lives or to the people that they love in their lives who lived with shame as well.
Mhm.
And I just want to point out, through my journey in storytelling, that something that became very uh, clear to me is that shame is something that's put upon you. It's not something that you're born with. And so if you can separate yourself out from it in order to help another person not live with it, that is significant, like in multitudes. I do believe that stories change lives, and especially if you can remove that layer of shame for people, it can open up so many possibilities.
Yes, yes, that's rich, and I would echo that, Meredith. Things like shame, guilt, a self-image, which social media and all of the stuff that where we are now is can be challenging, especially to young folks.
Yeah.
Is the best tool that I can give to anyone in that is how you combat that, how you manage through it, has to be through the power of self-love. And the more and more you take the time to love on you, to appreciate you, to value you, to know that you were uniquely and wonderfully made, and to relish in that in the most amazing kind of way. And then from there, lean into gratitude because of and I will tell you, and you could probably share the same sentiment, is life has been an amazing roller coaster for me.
Mhm.
There has been some good, some bad, and some ugly.
Mhm.
But I will offer to you that guess what? If I had to change it, I wouldn't change a thing. And the reason I wouldn't change a thing is because where I am now is such an amazing place in my life in identity that, but by my experience, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And so if I ask that question to a client and they tell me I would change this, and this, what that tells me is that we got to work on some unhealed places.
Yeah. Yeah, because those experiences are what brought you to this moment right now, and, it's a pretty beautiful moment if you allow it. If you
Absolutely.
allow it. Yeah, it's and it is true, like, there's just so much noise, and it can feel very heavy in the world, and yet you do in that intersection, uh, you can choose that self-love piece, and you can help by sharing your story. You truly can, and it may not feel like a significant contribution to you, but it is quite significant. It has
Absolutely.
ripple effects.
Yes. And I think one of the most powerful words that both you and I have shared in this small 26 minutes, and I want everyone to hear this word, and it is the power of choice.
Mhm.
One of the most amazing opportunities that each and every one of us gets with every single 24 hours that we get each day is the power of choice. And I don't want anyone to ever believe that you have to give that away.
Yeah.
It's your ability to choose exactly what you want for yourself, exactly who you need to forgive, exactly who you need to be, what you need to be grateful for, exactly who you want to be your story going forward. I just did a little post that I'm sharing on social media. And at the end, I tell everyone take the power of choice to take the pen back and write your own narrative, your own story, your own script of what you want the rest of today and tomorrow and in the future to look like through your choices.
Yeah.
Own that power because that is some amazing power that we can have and that we have each and every day that we're able to get up.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Nick, so what I would love is I'm going to share your QR code with people so they can scan it because it's going to lead them directly to your website. You are not just a coach, but you're also a speaker and a quite beautiful speaker. So I want people to find you and get in touch with you. So if you are watching this and you happen to have your screen in front of you and your phone as well, you can scan this QR code. It'll take you directly to Nick Dillon. And also, if you happen to live in Denver, Colorado, and you are around on the evening of October 18th, you can have the opportunity to meet myself and Nick. We have 15 participants for this retreat that Jamar Jones and I are co hosting, and they'll all be sharing their stories on stage in a live showcase. And we're very excited about it. And it's going to be an incredible 4 days, Nick. And I am just delighted that you're going to be a part of it. And you're going to work. I feel like, mindset is a constant, as you've already said it, it's a constant muscle and I feel like for me, it's about being in constant investigation. And I can feel it now when I'm like, oh, Meredith, you're not doing the work. Like you got to give yourself some time to do the work today. Right. Uh,
Yeah.
so if there's one tip that you could leave our audience with right now, uh, a call to action, if you will, for them, what would that be?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Meredith. And this is I call it my mantra that I like to leave every audience with. And that is, it just takes a moment, just a moment for you to shift your mindset in the direction that serves you the best, that serves you in a way that you want to be. But for many people, it takes a lifetime to get to that moment.
Yeah.
So, what I would challenge the audience today to do is if you are listening, that means you have the power of now.
Hmm.
So, make today your moment.
Beautiful. Thank you. And with that said, I'm going to say goodbye. This was terrific. I can't wait to see you in Denver this
Yeah.
month. I can't believe we're already in the month of
Oh,
October. I'm going to play my little outro music and then we're going to call it a day until next month, Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. See you here for the Speakers Lounge.